Can your strike security actually make your dispute worse? Today, I'm going to talk about that as an employer and what you can do in 4 checks today. I'm Rob Relieder. I'm the founder of Western Protection Alliance here in Vancouver. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe below. Firstly, bad security can escalate your picket line. And so your poorly trained guards can actually cause you to enhance the emotion on the picket line. And that's not a good thing. So when there's too much emotion, tensions have already flared up or potential to flare up. So you as an employer puts you as an employer at greater risk when you're not having those individuals that are properly trained. Next is when you're aggressive strike security, there's aggressive body language and they may be argumentative and enhance the already tense situation. So that's something that a bad security team can escalate issues on the picket line fairly quickly. There's really, for strike security, their key roles should provide, obviously, the presence, but they need to observe, document, and manage that picket environment. But they need to not become the story themselves, if you know what I mean. They have to do that professionally and within the law, and that will reflect favorably on you as an employer. The opposite will add to your risk in an already volatile situation. So that's number one. Next is when you have bad security, it also creates bad evidence. And what do I mean by that? In previous videos, I've talked about the importance of evidence gathering for injunctive relief and helping that employer win that dispute. But bad security will create bad evidence. And what I mean by that is that the evidence is only useful if it's organized, it's time-stamped, and it's properly documented. Bad security won't know the difference between those, unfortunately. There's also your strike security. You're not filming a horror movie. Their shaky video is not a good thing when you're trying to document evidence on a picket line. Poor note-taking is not a good thing, and you want to stay away from that. And there has to be context with the evidence, and preferably with no emotions embedded in that. So again, bad security creates that bad evidence. Thirdly, bad security also creates greater legal and reputational risk for you as an employer. And that's really critical when you're trying to do things within the law and do it professionally and properly. And that can really hamstring you as an employer when you're faced with this. So bad security does create that legal and reputational risk. And so what do I mean by that? Well, the security conduct is scrutinized by everyone. So by the union, by the union's lawyers, by the media, by the employees, by the police. All these stakeholders will view your security, and they can quite easily, if you don't have proper strike security, that can actually add greatly to your risk as an employer. So you want to make sure that you have professionals doing that work and that they don't overstep their authority. So what I mean by that is, what's the chain of command? What's the pre-strike plan that the strike security needs to follow in order to execute that properly and with the employer's wishes and ultimate strategy that you've talked about with your strike A-team, which I've referenced in previous videos. Professional security will help reduce your risk and not enhance it. And then lastly, the last point I want to make is that bad security can really disrupt employers' operations. And you as an employer already have that crises taking place, that you're faced with a strike or a lockout, your facilities, and you're already behind the 8 ball, so to speak. So the strike security must be intelligent enough to understand the plan, but also how to execute it properly within the law. The other part of that is how poor security or bad strike security can disrupt an employer's operation. Is the security has to have proper communication with the client contact, with you as an employer, with the labor lawyers, and looking at that whole chain of command and have a good handle on how to execute that plan. That's going to be important because poor communication delays movement and it confuses everybody from the client to the police to the labor lawyers that are preparing injunctive relief or looking for evidence for injunctive relief for you as that employer. Security also, they must must know the access plan. What's the plan for customers, suppliers, delivery? What's the access plan for management getting in and out of the picket line on a daily basis? Are strike security personnel driving? Do you have transport teams moving people and product across the picket line? All those different pieces need to be understood by your strike security, and they need to have buy-in into that plan. And then really the best strike security supports you as an employer and your plan, which I mentioned earlier. Your plan is going to hinge on the execution and understanding of that strike plan. Bad security will probably not support your plan and might improvise under pressure. That's something that you don't want as an employer. You have a plan, hopefully it's worked out the kinks, and you want to execute it professionally and within the law, and having bad security could help move that or take that off the rails. So can your strike security make your dispute worse? Yes. And those are 4 points that I've made to hopefully address that. You can look at your strike security and hopefully improve that or look to enhance that for future use, future disputes.